What if you could be erased, not just from the world, but from time itself? A journalist discovers her missing brother was never dead, he was deleted. Now, she's racing against a secret government program to uncover the truth before they erase her too. But some things were never meant to be found. Watch till the end, because once you know the truth, there's no turning back. Welcome my YouTube channel Storytime. Please don't forget like, subscribe and share. Claire Lawson sat at the dimly lit bar, her fingers drumming against the condensation on her glass. The bar was nearly empty, save for a few lonely souls nursing their drinks. She wasn't here for the whiskey in front of her, she was here for information. Across from her, a nervous-looking man named David Mercer hunched over his drink. He was a low-level government contractor, the kind of guy no one noticed until it was too late. He had contacted Claire 2 days ago, saying he had information about something called the vanishing hour. He claimed people were disappearing, vanishing off the face of the earth. Now, sitting in front of her, he looked like a man who regretted ever making that call. "You said you had proof," Claire pressed, keeping her voice steady. Mercer swallowed hard. "Not here." He glanced around the bar like a paranoid man on the run. "They're watching me. I shouldn't have come." "Who?" Claire asked, leaning forward. Mercer hesitated, then pulled a flash drive from his pocket and slid it across the table. "Everything you need is in here. Names, dates, locations. You dig too deep into this, and you'll end up like the others." "The others?" Mercer opened his mouth to answer, but his eyes suddenly widened in terror. His hands trembled, and before Claire could react, he bolted for the door. "Mercer, wait," she called, shoving the flash drive into her pocket. But the moment he stepped outside, a black SUV screeched around the corner. A side door slid open, and 2 men in dark suits grabbed him. Claire rushed to the window in time to see Mercer struggling, his screams muffled as he was thrown into the vehicle. The door slammed shut, and the SUV peeled away into the night. Her blood ran cold. She had seen people get silenced before, but this was different. It was too fast, too clean. Almost as if someone had been expecting Mercer to talk. Claire reached for her phone and snapped a picture of the SUV's license plate before it disappeared down the street. Her pulse pounded in her ears. She had 2 choices, walk away and pretend this never happened, or follow the lead and risk everything. Claire never walked away. Back in her apartment, Claire locked the door and plugged the flash drive into her laptop. A folder labeled Project VH** appeared on the screen. She clicked it open. Dozens of files filled the screen, each one marked with a name, date, and a single word, *missing. The list stretched back nearly 2 decades. Her breath caught when she recognized a name, Michael Lawson. Her brother. Claire's hands shook as she clicked the file. It contained a government-issued report, heavily redacted. But one line stood out. Subject deemed incompatible. Removed from the timeline. Removed from the timeline. What the hell did that mean? Her brother had disappeared 12 years ago without a trace. No body, no evidence. Just, gone. The police called it a runaway case. She never believed them. And now, here was his name in a classified government file. A chill ran down her spine. Before she could process what she was reading, her laptop screen flickered. Then, it went black. A message appeared. "You've seen too much." Her apartment lights flickered. Then, a knock at the door. Claire's heart pounded. Someone knew. And they were already here. Claire's breath hitched as the knock came again, 3 firm raps, steady and deliberate. She shut her laptop and stood frozen, her mind racing. She hadn't told anyone she was home. Had they tracked the flash drive? Or had they been watching her even before tonight? The apartment was silent except for the pounding in her chest. Then came a voice from the other side of the door. "Claire Lawson, we need to talk." Not a demand. A statement. She backed away, glancing toward the window. 5th floor. No fire escape. No way out. Her phone buzzed. She snatched it off the table. Unknown number. "Don't open the door." Her stomach flipped. Someone was watching her, but were they friend or foe? She didn't wait to find out. She grabbed her bag, stuffed the flash drive inside, and darted toward the bathroom. The air vent above the sink was too small for her to escape through, but there was another way out. The building's maintenance closet shared a weak wall with her bathroom, one she had noticed months ago when her neighbor complained about hearing everything from her apartment. She grabbed her hairdryer, flipped it on, and pressed it against the drywall. The heat softened the plaster. She balled her fist and punched. Once. Twice. On the third hit, the wall cracked. Behind her, the doorknob rattled. They were trying to get in. Claire shoved her way through the hole, tumbling into the dark maintenance room. She landed hard, biting back a cry as pain shot through her shoulder. No time for that. Footsteps pounded outside her apartment. She scrambled to her feet, found the maintenance exit, and slipped into the hallway. She didn't stop running until she was several blocks away. A coffee shop was still open on the corner, its neon sign buzzing against the quiet night. Claire ducked inside, ordered a coffee she didn't want, and collapsed into a booth. Her hands trembled as she pulled out her phone. Whoever had warned her had saved her life. But who were they? The unknown number had sent another message. "You need to leave the city. They won't stop looking for you." Claire's jaw tightened. Asterisk, who are you? She typed. The reply was instant. "A friend. But I can't help you if you stay put." Claire stared at the words. Every instinct told her to trust no one, but she also knew she couldn't outrun this alone. Her fingers hovered over the keys before she typed. "Meet me. Now." A long pause. Then. Corner of 8th and Madison. 10 minutes. Claire finished her coffee in 2 gulps and left. The corner of 8th and Madison was mostly deserted, just an old bookstore and a closed deli. Then she saw him. A man in his 40s, leaning against a street lamp. He wore a worn leather jacket, his hands shoved in his pockets. He was watching her, but not in the way her pursuers had. His gaze was calculating, assessing. As she approached, he spoke without looking at her. "You shouldn't have taken that flash drive." Claire crossed her arms. "Too late." He exhaled, shaking his head. "You have no idea what you're messing with." "You seem to know." The man hesitated. Then, "I used to work for them." Claire stiffened. "For who?" "The people who took your brother." Her stomach turned to ice. "Who the hell are you?" He finally looked at her, his face grim. "Ethan Carter. Ex-FBI. And if you want to live, you need to listen to me." Claire clenched her fists. "Why should I trust you?" "Because they'll kill you before you ever figure this out on your own." He pulled something from his pocket, a battered ID badge. Her breath caught as she read the words printed across it. "Project Veitch, authorized personnel only." Her heart pounded. What is the vanishing hour? Ethan's jaw tightened. "It's not just about missing people, Claire." He leaned in, lowering his voice. "They're erasing them." A sharp chill ran down her spine. Claire thought she was chasing a story. She never realized she was chasing ghosts. And now, they were coming for her. Claire's breath came short and fast. "Erasing them," she repeated, barely able to process Ethan's words. The ex-FBI agent nodded, his expression grave. "Not just making people disappear. Wiping them clean." No records, no bodies, no memories. Like they never existed. Claire's stomach twisted. That's not possible. Ethan gave a humorless chuckle. You think that because you still believe the world plays by the rules. He leaned in. You saw the file on your brother, didn't you? The last line, asterisk removed from the timeline. Asterisk. Claire swallowed hard. I thought it was some bureaucratic term. It's not. Ethan sat back, rubbing a hand down his face. I spent years working in classified sectors, tracking patterns that weren't supposed to exist. People vanishing in clusters, names being deleted from databases overnight. I thought it was just black ops at first, witness protection gone extreme. But then I saw something I couldn't explain. Claire studied his face. What? He hesitated, as if deciding how much truth she could handle. I saw a man disappear in front of me, he finally said. 1 second, he was there. The next, he was asterisk gone. Asterisk no gunshot, no struggle, just, erased. Claire's pulse pounded. That's insane. Ethan sighed. I thought so too. Until it started happening more often. She shook her head, trying to ground herself in reality. She was a journalist, not a conspiracy theorist. But she had seen the list. Her brother was on it. Who's behind it? She asked. Ethan exhaled. A division so deep underground even the FBI pretends it doesn't exist. Asterisk Project Vanishing Hour. Asterisk. The words sent a chill through her. Claire pulled out her phone. The flash drive was gone, destroyed when her laptop crashed. But she had memorized some of the names from the list. She typed one into a search engine. Lucas Reinhardt. Nothing. No social media, no news reports, no death certificate. She tried another. Sarah Klein. Same result. But when she typed a third name, asterisk asterisk Daniel Monroe asterisk asterisk, something unexpected happened. A single result popped up, an old obituary. Daniel Monroe, age 36, died in a car accident 3 years ago. Survived by no known family. Found one, Claire muttered. Ethan leaned over, frowning at the screen. That's not right. If he was on the list, he shouldn't have a record at all. Claire scanned the obituary again. There was no photo, no details about the accident. Just a name and a date. This feels planted, she said. Ethan nodded. Which means someone wanted people to think he was dead instead of vanished. A thought struck her. If he's officially dead, maybe his record still exists somewhere. Medical records, job history, something that didn't get wiped. Ethan looked at her, something like admiration flickering across his face. You think like an investigator. Claire ignored the comment. We need to find out where he lived. Ethan pulled out his phone. Give me a second. She watched as he tapped into something, probably an old FBI database he wasn't supposed to have access to. Got it, he said after a moment. Last known address, apartment complex in Baltimore. Claire exhaled. Then that's where we're going. They took Ethan's car, an old, nondescript sedan. As he drove, Claire kept checking the mirrors. They'll come after us, won't they? She asked. Ethan didn't take his eyes off the road. They already are. A shiver ran down her spine. After a tense 3-hour drive, they reached the address. It was a rundown complex, the kind of place people passed by without noticing. They entered through the back, moving quickly. Apartment 4B. Ethan picked the lock in seconds. They stepped inside. The place was untouched, covered in dust. A single mattress on the floor, empty bookshelves, a broken lamp. But Claire's eyes went to the desk in the corner. Papers were scattered across it, yellowed with age. She picked up the top sheet, and her heart stopped. It was a handwritten note. If you're reading this, I'm already gone. They took me. But I left something behind. Look under the floorboards. Claire looked at Ethan. Without a word, he pulled out a knife and pried up one of the loose wooden planks. Underneath was a small metal box. Ethan opened it. Inside was a single photograph. A group of people stood together, smiling at the camera. Scientists, military personnel, and one face Claire recognized instantly. Her brother. Michael Lawson. Claire's vision blurred. He looked older than she remembered, like the photo had been taken after he disappeared. That was impossible. Ethan stared at the photo, his face grim. This changes everything, he muttered. Claire gripped the picture, her nails digging into the edges. Her brother hadn't just vanished. He was alive. And now, she was going to find him. No matter what it took. Claire's hands trembled as she stared at the photo. Her brother was alive. The thought sent a surge of adrenaline through her veins. For 12 years, she had believed Michael was dead, swallowed by some unknown fate. Now, staring back at her was proof that he had been here, with these people, long after he supposedly vanished. Ethan studied the photograph. His expression was unreadable, but his grip on the edges of the picture was tight. This doesn't make sense, he muttered. If your brother was erased, he shouldn't exist in any records, let alone a photograph. It's like, he hesitated. Like what? Claire pressed. Ethan exhaled. Like he was brought back. A chill ran through her. Brought back from where? Ethan didn't answer. Instead, he turned the photo over. There was something written on the back, scrawled in hurried handwriting. Facility 47. He's still here. But not for long. Claire's pulse pounded. Facility 47. Ethan nodded slowly. It's real. Or at least, it was. You know where it is? A muscle in Ethan's jaw twitched. Not exactly. But I know someone who might. Claire narrowed her eyes. Who? Ethan hesitated. Then he said, a ghost. 2 hours later, they were parked in front of an old auto shop on the outskirts of D.C. The building looked abandoned, but the flickering light inside said otherwise. Ethan turned off the engine and faced Claire. The guy inside? His name's Randall Moore. Former NSA, but he went dark years ago. What's his connection to this? Claire asked. Ethan glanced at the shop. Randall was on the original team assigned to the Vanishing Hour. Then, one day, he just disappeared. The agency listed him as dead. But I found out he faked it. Claire frowned. Why? Ethan smirked. Probably because he knew what was coming. They stepped out of the car, the cool night air biting at their skin. Ethan knocked on the metal door, 3 sharp taps, then 2. A long pause. Then, the door creaked open. A man in his 60s stood in the doorway, his hair graying at the edges, his eyes sunken but alert. He held a shotgun in one hand. Carter, Randall said, unimpressed. You really shouldn't be here. Ethan raised his hands. Nice to see you too, Randall. Randall's gaze flicked to Claire. And who's this? She met his eyes. Someone looking for answers. Randall sighed, rubbing his forehead. Jesus. You idiots don't know when to quit. He motioned them inside. Inside, the shop was cluttered with old car parts and scattered papers. Randall locked the door behind them and gestured toward a table. What do you know about the Vanishing Hour? Claire asked, getting straight to the point. Randall gave a dry laugh. More than I'd like. He grabbed a folder from a nearby shelf and tossed it onto the table. You want Facility 47? Here's what's left of it. Claire flipped through the documents. Most were heavily redacted, but certain phrases stood out. Temporal displacement. Nonlinear anomalies. Subject reintegration failure. Experiment 47C. Her hands tightened around the pages. This isn't just about erasing people, is it? Randall leaned back, his expression dark. No. It's about asterisk time. Asterisk. Claire's stomach dropped. Time. Randall nodded. The program started as an experiment in covert operations, erasing people from history, rewriting events before they happened. But something went wrong. Ethan's face hardened. The people they erased, they didn't just disappear, did they? Randall hesitated. Then, finally, he said, no. They were sent asterisk somewhere else. Asterisk. Claire's blood ran cold. Where? Randall exhaled. Nobody knows. Some came back, but, different. Others never returned at all. Claire's hands shook as she lifted the photograph of her brother. Michael was part of this, wasn't he? Randall eyed the picture. His expression turned grim. Yeah, he admitted. And if he's still at Facility 47, that means he's one of the last ones left. Claire's heart pounded. Where is it? Randall hesitated. Then he reached into his desk and pulled out an old map. He unfolded it, pointing to a location deep in the Appalachian Mountains. There, he said. That's where they built it. But I'll tell you right now, if you go looking for it, he looked at Claire, his voice lowering. You might not come back. Claire met his gaze, steel in her eyes. I don't care. Randall sighed. Then you'd better move fast. Because if they know you're looking, they'll do to you what they did to the others. Claire swallowed hard. Erase me? Randall shook his head. Worse, he said. They'll asterisk rewrite you. Asterisk. Back in the car, Claire stared at the map. This is insane, she muttered. Ethan started the engine. You sure you want to do this? Claire clenched her jaw. Michael is alive. And I'm going to find him. Ethan glanced at her. Then we leave now. As they pulled onto the highway, Claire's phone buzzed. One new message. No number. Turn back. Last warning. Her grip tightened on the phone. They weren't turning back. They were going straight into the storm. The road to Facility 47 twisted through the Appalachian Mountains, shrouded in mist and silence. Claire gripped the map as Ethan drove, his hands tight on the wheel. Hours had passed since they left Randall's shop, and with every mile, the weight in Claire's chest grew heavier. Her brother was here, somewhere inside a hidden facility designed to erase people from existence. And she was walking straight into it. The GPS cut out miles ago. No signals, no landmarks. But the map led them to an overgrown dirt road that ended at what looked like an abandoned power station. Rusted fences, security cameras barely visible behind layers of grime. It looked dead. But Claire knew better. This is it, Ethan murmured, reaching into his jacket and pulling out a gun. Claire swallowed hard. You really think you'll need that? Ethan shot her a look. I know I will. They moved quickly. The main gate was locked, but Ethan pried open a maintenance door along the side. Inside, the air was thick with dust, but fresh boot prints lined the concrete floor. Someone had been here recently. They weren't alone. A long hallway stretched before them, lined with empty offices and shattered glass. At the far end, a heavy steel door stood slightly ajar. Claire's pulse quickened as she pushed it open. Inside was a massive underground lab. The walls were lined with old monitors, each one dark. Papers covered the desks, scattered among syringes, cables, and strange, circular devices Claire had never seen before. And in the center of the room stood a massive, ring-like machine, humming faintly. A single word was etched onto its side. Vanishing Hour Prototype. Claire's breath caught. "This is it," Ethan whispered. "This is how they did it." Claire barely heard him. Her eyes had locked onto a row of glass chambers on the far side of the lab. One of them held a man. Her legs moved before her mind could catch up. She ran to the glass, her hands pressing against it. Michael. He looked almost exactly as he had 12 years ago, same sharp jawline, same dark hair. But his eyes were open, and they locked onto hers. He was alive. And he remembered her. "Michael," she choked out. He slammed his hands against the glass, his face twisted in panic. His lips moved, forming silent words. Run. Now. A door slammed open behind them. Claire spun around. Men in black tactical gear flooded into the room, rifles raised. A tall man stepped forward, dressed in a pristine suit. He was calm, composed, like he had expected them. "Claire Lawson," he said smoothly. "I was wondering when you'd arrive." Ethan raised his gun, but two guards moved faster, striking him across the back of the head. He crumpled to the floor. Claire backed against the glass, her heart hammering. "Who are you?" The man smiled. "The person cleaning up your mess." His eyes flicked to Michael's chamber. "Your brother was never meant to return." Claire's fists clenched. "What did you do to him?" The man tilted his head. "Nothing. He simply exists outside of time now. Like the others." Claire's stomach twisted. "What does that mean?" He sighed. "It means we sent them too far. Beyond history. Some returned, but, different. And now, well, now we have to make sure they don't contaminate the timeline." Claire's mind raced. "You rewrote them?" The man smiled. "You're catching on." Claire turned back to Michael. His fists pounded against the glass, desperate. She had come too far to lose him now. She spun back to the man. "Let him go." He chuckled. "And undo years of work?" "I don't think so." Claire's heart pounded. Her mind screamed at her to do something, anything. Then, she saw the control panel. Without thinking, she lunged for it. "Stop her," the man barked. Claire's fingers slammed against buttons and levers, her mind working on instinct. Alarms blared. The chamber doors hissed. Michael's glass enclosure opened. A second later, her brother collapsed forward, coughing violently. The guards lunged. Michael moved faster. With a speed Claire hadn't seen before, he grabbed one of the men, twisting his gun away and slamming him into the ground. The others moved in, but Michael was faster, too fast. Claire's breath caught. Something was wrong with him. Ethan groaned on the ground, shaking off the hit to his head. "We need to go." Michael grabbed Claire's hand. His skin was ice cold. "Move," he rasped. They ran. The halls blurred as they sprinted. Behind them, the facility shook. The machine, the vanishing hour, was overloading. Sparks rained down. "We have to destroy it," Claire yelled. Michael turned, his face unreadable. Then he grabbed a fallen rifle and fired. Bullets tore into the machine. A high-pitched whine filled the air. The lights flickered. The walls shifted. Claire's breath caught as she saw something impossible. For a split second, the hallway changed. The walls turned smooth and white, futuristic. Then they shifted again, gray stone, torches. Then nothing at all, just darkness. It was rewriting itself. Reality was asterisk breaking. Asterisk. Michael turned to Claire, his eyes hollow. You have to leave. Now. Claire grabbed his arm. Not without you. His expression softened. I don't belong here anymore. The building rumbled. Time itself was unraveling. Michael pressed something into Claire's hand. A photograph. The same one she had found at the apartment. Only now, asterisk, she wasn't in it. Asterisk. Her heart pounded. Michael. He stepped back. Then, in an instant, he asterisk vanished. Asterisk. Claire's scream was swallowed by the collapsing facility. Ethan yanked her forward. Go. Now. They burst into the open air just as the ground gave way. The facility imploded, collapsing into itself in a blinding flash of light. Then. Silence. Claire stood at the edge of the smoking crater, her chest heaving. Michael was gone. But this time, it wasn't like before. This time, she asterisk remembered him. Asterisk. Ethan touched her shoulder. You okay? Claire swallowed the lump in her throat. No. He nodded, as if he understood. What now? Claire looked at the photograph in her hands. A single thought burned in her mind. Asterisk somewhere, somewhen, Michael is still out there. Asterisk. And she was going to find him. No matter how long it took. Thank you for watching my YouTube channel Storytime. If you like this story, please don't forget like, subscribe and share. If you want part 2, please comment.